How we all doing? We're here for something I was not planning on doing, but I feel like it's something we probably should do at this point. It's a thing I feel like I need to do. So, last week, we streamed Spark the Electric Jester 2. It's the first time I've ever played the game, and we ran into like a whole bunch of technical problems. Like a whole slew of them within like half an hour. And that pretty much tainted the whole stream. Like, to a point where it didn't work all that well at all. And in fact, I don't even know if I'm running one now. My audio sounds like it's crackling in my own ears, which may just be... Oh yeah, nope. It's the Spark 2 curse! It is doing it on the stream too. What is that? Didn't mean hit the mute yet. What is happening? I'm gonna unplug my mixer, maybe that'll do it. Okay, that definitely did something. But in a weird way. Wow. Did that at least fix the crackle? It did. Wow, okay. Everything is just cursed. Things are cursed. I'm cursed. I don't understand how any of this happens. I really don't. So, I'm gonna want to start that whole explanation over, apparently. I hear crackle, but it's in my ears. I don't know if stream can hear it per se or not, but I hear it the whole time, and that's gonna drive me crazy. That's a whole other problem. I don't know if the mic would crackle too. That's another reason why I'm like, let's just try again. So, you literally can't get past anything without something happening. It's really just like part of the course here. So, as I was trying to say beforehand, last week, we streamed Spark the Electric Jester 2. It was my first time playing the game, and I enjoyed myself. It was a fun game, but it was riddled some audio problems around the 20-ish to 30-minute mark, and it got to a point where it just lasted the whole time, and I am not happy with how that stream turned out. So this is a do-over. We're going to do it again, this time with no more issues. I said as we literally started with issues. At least on my end, I don't know if it comes through on the stream, but I hear it, and it's really bothersome. So, I'm going to demonstrate what exactly happened as we get things started here. Wow, so I don't remember I even got to say this because I'm just so flustered with random crap. Hey Matt, how are you doing? So we go on into the game. It sounds great. It's like this. Sounds pretty good, right? Now imagine if it was like there. Imagine if the whole game sounded like this. Like, I can't hear a thing. It's so quiet. Streamer, please turn it up. That's how we started things. That's simulated. That is a simulation, though. That's not how it actually was for a majority. We fixed that immediately because that's a setting thing. But we had another problem halfway through, and I think this is more of an OBS-specific thing, but it did kind of trickle down to the actual stream, too, which is why it kind of bothered me, personally. So, to demonstrate, I'm going to turn off that PC capture, and I'm going to turn on this feed. So, hi me, hi me, hi me, hi me, and hi chat, 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 chat. So, I'm going to just do this so I have an easier screen to see. Here is my mixer right here, right? I actually do need to turn back on PC game capture so you can see. This is what I seen last week. I have my microphone source right here. I got alerts, so if people do any of the things, obviously you hear it. And then you can hear the video game. How I capture games specifically is using something called this. This here is something that's still considered in beta. It's an application audio capture. It just takes the audio straight from a program and uses that to capture raw audio. You don't have to deal with any extra setup or anything. So that's what I've done. I've hooked it into Spark 2, and that's how we were capturing the game. But about, I would say, I don't know how long into it. It was about 15 to 20 minutes we started to notice some issues. So what I ended up doing was I went into that source, turned it off, added an audio capture just for my desktop audio, did things this way. Now it's going to sound perfectly fine, no issues. But for whatever reason, I think it was more like this. Say if I turned it off, so I had it off like this, I went back, okay, let's stream the video game again, right? You can't see it right away, but it turned back on. And I didn't notice this for the whole stream, and here's why. I have this layout. So to demonstrate exactly how this worked, I'm going to turn this off. You don't need to see that anymore. I have this. So now I'm going to go vertical layout because I did not see this issue. Here's how it sounded for you guys last week. I forgot I can't do things that way anymore. Hang on. I was going to use a hotkey, but the hotkey doesn't work. There you go. Now it works. So now if I went in the game, you hear double audio. One of them may be a little more delayed than the other. This caused an echo effect for the whole stream, and I was not proud of this, honestly. I don't care for something like this happening. It legitimately bothers me. It does. And I know a lot of other people I talked to after the fact say, it's fine, because I didn't really hear much of it. It doesn't matter. But to me, it bothers the crap out of me. It really does. So if I turn this back off, turn this other source back on, I want to demonstrate another thing. I do need to turn that thing back on again. I keep on going back and forth. I record using multi-track audio. So if I go in my own preferences here, you can see I have 5 tracks in total here recording. It's checked off to number 5, so I use different tracks. One of them is a full mix, what you're hearing on Twitch. And then here is the game one. This is game audio only. And how I have things set up is here, between these 2 sources I had on, they're both on track 2. I don't have them on any other track, track 1 and 2. So the damage was done. I couldn't separate this. Normally it's a thing, if something like this happens, I can fix in post. But this kind of thing was hard embedded in the audio track. So even the VOD, I feel, was tainted. So yeah, you can hear it easily when I have both of these on at the same time. And keep in mind, this is how I had it, mind you. So we go back to this method, turn this off. As one more reminder, down below here, this is what I seen last week while we were streaming. I didn't see the second track because I had it set in the horizontal mode. This is the audio track default in OBS, set to this mode. I should have had it set, you can't see that, there you go. I should have had it set like this, vertical, because now I can see them both going. So I missed this, and I do apologize. I'm going to swap back over to here as I fix things back up for tonight's stream proper. I wanted to do a demonstration thing and explain the whole situation before we actually got started on the actual game. So, yeah, this, to me, it tainted that first playthrough, and there's nothing I can do to fix it, but I did post a VOD on the VOD channel. I just turned down the audio by a lot. So you guys won't hear it as easily in the VOD. It's still there. I can't fix it. So tonight, we're going back to Spark again. Full on redo. I know the setup that works for the game now, so we're gonna play it that way. Easy as that. Just don't do anything stupid to me, please. No promises on that one. No promises. Before we also get into the game itself, there was another thing I was wanting to talk about real quick too, and that's some development stuff, because I want to do a little bit more since I have to redo the game, so I'm gonna kind of go into this with a little more information. And to start things off here, going back into the full feed, I pulled up the wiki here real quick as I want to talk about how this game was developed, and maybe this is how I had so many issues into my first playthrough in a way, noticing some of the flaws. So this was the first 3D game built on Unity engine, and it was made here. If you look at the development staff, it was all pretty much one guy. Designed, artist, writer, even though he didn't have help for the artist part. It was just one fellow. It was this man right here. He's the lead designer, programmer, writer. He's the guy who pretty much handles the whole Spark series. And from what I'm reading, that's pretty much how every single game is set up. And I think that is where a lot of my core issues come from when it comes to the Spark games. It seems more or less that it's mainly just a one-person shop, which you can have really good games from only like a single-person developer. One of the greatest examples I always hear about is a Metroidvania-style game, and like it's solid. I can't remember the name off the top of my head here. Got a what was it called again? I can't remember now. But there was a game completely made only by one guy, and it is always praised. I think it starts with A. I have it on my Steam list here. But either way, I have played games that have come out from only one developer and are solid, but at the same time, it feels like you do need that quality assurance from others. I don't know if the Spark series has really gotten that, and that's kind of the problem I really have. It's nothing to do with the actual games or anything, because I think this guy does solid work, but there's some stuff that does go like through the cracks because it's only a one-man team. But to be fair, he gets like a whole slew of people for composing the music, which is why the music is so strong. Some of these names are really well known in the scene from what I can understand. Some people have worked on like other high profile games, which is really good. But another thing that threw me off about this is this. Apparently this was released on consoles. The only Spark game that was on a console, apparently. Which I was shocked about, because if I go up here to the actual developer page, you see Spark 1, Spark 2, and Spark 3, all available on PC. This is the second game that's the only one on Xbox. I wonder how this runs on consoles. If anyone has the Xbox version, I would love to hear how this runs on a console, because I'm kind of curious. I'm not going to buy it again just to see myself. That just seems like a waste in my opinion. But it's playable on Xbox One hardware, like the OG one, the VCR as everyone calls it. So that's not that powerful of a system by today's standards. I wonder how this game runs on an actual Xbox, because I can't imagine it running well at all. So that's pretty much all the big stuff I wanted to talk about. So let's get into the actual video game. And I'll just catch up, chat a little bit after that whole spiel. A rough day. Hopefully tonight will be an easier time. Just hopefully you can relax now. Sorry to hear it's been a rough one. So I was also debating this too, how we should play this again. I'm not playing on normal or lower. Last time we did normal, I thought the game was a little too easy, so I'm gonna bump it up. I played a little bit on challenge. No thank you. This game is a two-shotter. The bosses are the problem. The levels I don't think would be that bad, but it's the boss fights, I think, challenge where you take so much damage. I don't think it's worth it. I want to do hard or very hard. This one is just apparently not recommended to anyone, which I just find funny. Just, your developer flat out says, don't play my game mode. This one bad. The rest are good. So I could do that, or I could just play on hard, but I think I'll just do hard because it's a good middle ground. I'll take a lot of damage, but not too much damage. We're going to run through this with all the story stuff again, too, because I didn't give this justice on some story with how it was, again, like the audio jumble going on with the echo effect. I don't really need to read the entire thing like I did last time, start to back. So I'll just let you guys read it on your own for the most part. I might just step in for some lines if I feel like it. But playing through this a second time, I can also reflect back on this game too, both in terms of gameplay and even its story, which a lot of this is going to be kind of just reflecting on how the game as a whole is too. Kind of just giving more thoughts about the whole thing. Because honestly, looking back at this compared to like the first one, I think I prefer 2D games from this developer. I think he nails 2D in my opinion. The Sonic before and after the sequel games, along with the first Spark game, I thought were really solid in terms of gameplay. And so is this 3D outing. I just think I prefer the 2D stuff more. Mainly just because of its overall setup. There just seems to be a little bit more to it that I just click with more. But that's just also like a personal preference too. I've heard reviews though for the later Spark games also to look into like general consensus, and I think I'm not the only one who says that. It sounds like general consensus is, yeah, the later ones aren't as good as the first. At least a lot of people. A lot of people seem to prefer the first game, and a lot of people say the second game is like a good proof of concept, but it doesn't live up to its full potential. It sounds like one of those situations where a lot of people see what this guy was going for, but at the same time, they didn't care for it as much, so maybe the third game would be better on that front for me. I'll have to see when I eventually play that. But it sounds like Spark, by the namesake, that was not a thing that was planned to begin with for the rest of the series. Because this game is just going to be called Spark the Electric Jester, based off the new main character we have here, Spark. Because the last game, he was a side character with his own little story mode that you can get once you beat the game. And then the third game was supposed to have a brand new character be like the main focus, but then things changed and we went back to Spark as the main character for Spark 3. So things were very, very different when it came to how it was always set up, apparently. This also sounds very quiet. Of course you reset my settings! Why? I'm also going to do that a lot tonight. This game doesn't do settings right. Now I gotta make sure my graphic settings are... Yep, they're screwed up too. I started a brand new game file and my settings are all borked. That is backwards design, man. Don't mind me. I'm just fixing everything now. Because I have to for whatever reason. Okay, everything's good. Why can I bump this up this high? Why can I make the game run at ultra-wide resolutions when I have a 1080p monitor at most? That's interesting. Alright, so the volume should be correct again. Okay, there you go. I just want to fully max the bar out and then take it back 2 steps. So that should be good now. Why? Why do options reset per file? Like, it doesn't save things for the file. I don't... Just play the game. Just play the game. Your head will hurt all night if you take too hard. This is a thing I want to talk about too, and I got this in the tutorial section. I don't get the point of this. Pass with speed 120 or greater. That's a neat thing. This is never really used in the game, though, outside of, like, this one time, really. It was really, I guess, just to teach you the idea of how you can use this ability specifically, like the Jester Charge, but it just doesn't really need to be a thing. I don't know, it's just... That's another thing. I think that this game just has some ideas that were not fully realized, which is why I need another game. So I can see why some people say this is like a proof of concept more than anything else. But in terms of like its overall design, like I like how the game controls and feels. I do think the momentum is a little too much. And from what I'm understanding, earlier designs of the game, the momentum was supposed to be a little bit different, so it might have got over-tuned over time. I don't know exactly how it would have felt in the beginning. I actually do have access to an old demo that we might try out after we're done here with the main game, just to see what's changed. But I need to ask, how is the audio balanced since the game itself decided I can't have my settings? It should be how it was last week now, minus the audio jungle part. It should be pretty well balanced in terms of, like, loudness. In my ears, it sounds about what it was last week. Although I do have my stuff turned down a little bit more, because the main menu is very loud by comparison. points over here. Wow. That's pretty much all these orbs are for, like the ones in the homing attack style capsule points. What we learned also last time, the points are really just for the medals, so you're just doing it for like that medal sake of high scores and such. So if you don't care, you don't have to get these, because there's multiple medals. There's score-based ones and time-based ones. There's a hammer and my art. I remember that. You only just played this 1 week ago, so it's very easy to remember a lot of these things. There you go. That should be enough for at least one of the medals for time, because that was fast. Okay, maybe not. Was it like a minute? I thought it was like 2. I guess it's probably more of a minute. Yeah, like a minute 15. I was nowhere near it. Wow. So this is pretty much how our stages are going to go. I'm just going to run through them. We know now combat is entirely useless unless you want those points. And honestly, I don't care enough in this kind of playthrough to go for score medals. Because if I'm going to do that, I'm probably just going to do that on that first playthrough file and grind up with that. Oh, that's a decent amount of damage, but I didn't really flinch. And that's it. Easy. Hey, we got a medal. I didn't think I was gonna get one. Neat. Next. Boss time. This character too, EJ. This guy feels like some missed potential, because he's supposed to be your rival character, I would feel, for this. That's, you know, more of a villain than anything else, but he just, at the end of this all, he kind of feels more like a Shadow the Hedgehog when it comes to villain, as he's more confused about his past and realizing who he really is, or like his actual purpose. So for me, I do feel that this was a character I just think was not fully living up to its potential. Like, he's very sassy in just leading me on in this portion of the game, but then halfway through things change. Also, I want to see something really quick. Did I make sure VSync was on? Because I've seen some tearing there. Yeah, it is on. Okay. Also gonna see one other thing. I love how I heard the dash sound when I opened, like, my Steam window, because I was just doing Shift Tab. They changed the interface a little bit, so I'm trying to see where do I need to go. Here we go. I want to turn on the frame rate counter to make sure things are working as I would expect. And this is where hard mode is actually going to get hard. The damage output. But if I just guard all the time, I don't care. It's like, guarding is pretty much my get out of jail free card for a lot of these attacks. Like, I don't have to worry really about damage output for a lot of it. Here come the vocals. So this is actually a boss theme that was from the first game. This was the, like, special boss fight music, I think it was called, the soundtrack. It was for Fark's story. It was against his bosses. So it's fitting that the music is here because, you know, it was one of the themes for Fark. And it's, like, the only song from the first game that even had vocals. So now we got this and then the final boss theme in this game for vocals. Which I think both are really good songs. Like, I listen to the Spark soundtrack a lot. It's actually really good. And this game is no exception on that front. Like, some songs don't click for me, but a good chunk of the soundtrack does. And that also helps things. I am a big fan of the music. That's like the one big thing I will give this dev. He definitely gets some really good composers to work on his games. Because even the Sonic before and after the sequel games, they also had really good soundtracks. So this is no exception. So now we get told where we need to go to find the doctor, which this is a plot point, I think, by the end. I also am like, that felt half-baked. Like 100%. So, for me, one of the things I want to mention... Actually, hang on. I think there's a thing that's still on. Oh, yeah. There we go. I was turning on the setting because I wanted to hear things back on my own ears. Okay. So, there is a thing about this doctor plot that really does bug me, and it's really just how they end it, specifically. So, throughout the whole game, our purpose is to find this Dr. Armstrong, as, you know, he's kidnapped right in front of us, and Fark think he can be the one that can tell more of Fark's backstory to him. Knowing where he can come from is a big thing with Fark. He really wants to know, really, like, who he is, instead of just a Spark clone of some kind. But the Doctor plot, it feels like once you get to a point where you catch up to where he should be and then you get told the truth of what's really going on, then that's when it's like, alright, then just forget the Doctor even existed. Now you're on like a revenge plot. So it just feels a little half-baked, especially with the ending too. And we'll get into that when we actually get to that part, because I don't want to talk too far ahead, especially if people haven't seen this game fully yet. So I don't want to actually spoil what happens if people haven't seen this from last week or played it themselves. I thought those signs back there said TBA for a second. Like, there's an announcement, but we don't have it yet. Like, man, those billboards. When you pay for advertising too early. And once you know how the movement in this game works, though, it does feel really fluent and just super satisfying to pull off. So I think, honestly, this game would be more fun to do speedruns of than just doing a score attack. It's one of those where you pick one or the other. It's like a Sonic game on that front. But I think this game feels really good when you start going fast like this. So it's a really good, like, speedrun style game. And I want to kind of, like, watch a speedrun to see what they would even try to pull off with this. If there's any major glitches they might use for a speedrun, or just they play the stage normally but like really executed well. Also, I don't know what would be the best power for him attacking. I feel like maybe edgy because of how fast it is. A hammer does feel pretty powerful, so I think one of those two would be a good power to use for attacks. That's slowdown. It's so bad. It's hard-coded in the game. It's not even a frame rate drop because I was over 100 frames. That's the only time in the game they do something like that too, which is really out of place. Okay, now we get this cutscene too, where we're introduced to our baddie squad, which these guys also do kind of feel like they're a little underutilized at times. Like, we get some good character development between them in like the earlier stages, but then once we get to the halfway point, then that's when we pretty much eliminate all but one. So we don't have much left, and by that point, then we just don't really see these characters, or specifically one, because at that point we take out two. So I would love to have seen a little more of these interactions, because they seem like really good friends that work well with each other. They all kind of have like the same purpose to just kind of get this job done, but more for themselves, not because they're being told to do it. But EJ over here being like the commanding fella is like, hey, I'm here for my boss. Get to work, you maggots. Ooh, that doesn't sound good, Matt. Did you get your PayPal thing fixed up then? If someone just tried to order something through your account, that's really terrible. I don't know what your luck is with hacking. It's been bad over the past couple years, and I don't know why. Hopefully that's straightened out. That's one of my favorite interactions in the game. Go after him right now. Nope, I'm gonna kick you. You disputed it? Okay. So hopefully that's gonna just be taken care of, because that, if it's not a thing you put through, not in your name, that should be easy to fight. As a pro tip for everyone, two-factor authentication on everything. Because I don't log into PayPal unless I use two-factor, and every time I make a purchase, I do two-factor. It's tedious, but it's extremely secure. Ooh, another art. This is just art on art over here. Oh, that's shiny. This camera. Why did I lock onto him? I didn't even press the shoulder button for it. That is really weird. That's satisfying to do. Just guarding through objects like that in this game, it's really, really satisfying. You don't get to do it all that often. When you do, it's really good. No, okay. I was like, can I get on the wall? But it's probably not enough slope, and sure enough, that's the case. Yeah, this, at least in terms of the main game's like programming and overall like level design, story, like all this was one guy. Which I will say, it is impressive. The only problem I have is more or less, I don't know if he has a QA staff of some kind, like if he hires out people for QA, if he does it himself. That I'm not 100% sure on. Because that's where I think some of these problems are kind of like sneaking through. It's Fempar Games, and as a reminder from that thing I did earlier, it is Philippe Ribeiro Danilus. I don't know. I don't think I'm pronouncing your name right, and I apologize, sir. This is the lead developer name. Like, he's the one who pretty much made the entire Spark series. Pretty much all on his own. I know for a fact I butchered your name, and I apologize, but I'm terrible with names. I do like a lot of the sass in this story. Like, there's a lot of character in it. But from what I'm also understanding, a lot of things changed in the story's tone. Because originally, with one of the earlier trailers, I think it was April of 2018, there was a gameplay demo / trailer that came out for Spark 2. At the time, it's just called Spark the Electric Jester. And it had a lot more swearing in it. Like, they tried to make things a little more edgy in story-wise, so it sounds like Felipe kind of went a little overboard on that. People definitely pointed it out, saying, yeah, this is a little much, so it got toned down. Like, the worst I think now we got in this for, like, swearing is just, like, you gotta be freaking kidding me or something like that. Like, there's no actual, like, swear words really being uttered, but in, like, some of the earlier trailers and demos, that definitely was not the same thing. Like, it was pretty much like a Shadow the Hedgehog situation where it was just, like, edgy just to be edgy. Noticing I do have different attacks when I do the heavy based on my damage output. So I did see one of those that was an explosion. I think that was at ×3. So that's something I didn't notice in my first playthrough. But to be honest, these heavy attacks when you charge it, not the most useful. I'm going to be honest on that. You take forever to charge up your attack. It doesn't do that much extra damage. So what's the point? That's pretty much my mentality when I first played. What's the point? So I never did a charge attack. Also, this stage, I'm gonna be honest, this is probably my least favorite stage in the whole game on a visual aspect. And just because it's a little too bright. Like, I get the idea, it's a forest that's covered in snow, so you gotta have it snowy looking. But it's way too bright, dude. Like, seriously, it's overexposed bright. It's a little much. So that's why, at least in my opinion, this is probably the worst stage aesthetically. Even though it has a good theming, I think it just went overboard on like the white, foggy snow look. I will say, it has a good song. Kind of like what I can say about a lot of the soundtrack. There we go. A little close to the end, but it's fine. I got like a mark on my glasses because I saw like a smudge in the middle of the whole stage. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're clean though. I always gotta keep a rag on standby. It's smart. Wanna be for these? Or for screen? Oh, what stage am I going into? My least favorite thing about any kind of presentation. This is for video games, movies, TV. Like, whatever has text, don't make it the same color as your background. Easy fix for that. Outlines. Notice how all my text and all the things I do, it has some kind of drop shadow or outline. Doing that makes things stand out. And this portion where we have 2 stages right in the clouds, it's white text on a white background. It might as well not exist because the text is impossible to read. And I'm surprised that never got caught in testing, which is another reason why I think maybe the dev tested his own game out. I don't know if he had a QA department of his own to work with. He might have just asked like mutuals to test it. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny anything like that, so I don't want to put out slander. It's just a personal opinion. But yeah, music really good in the boss fights. I agree. Like, music in general in this game is really good. All 3 Spark games, their soundtracks are on Spotify, so like they're available on streaming services. I think it's also maybe Amazon Music. I can't be 100% sure on that one. I know it's at least on Spotify. It might also be on YouTube Music. I'm not also sure there. I think it probably is because I tried to use some Spark music in videos in the past, and they've gotten flagged for copyright. So, just to say, you'll never see me use a Spark theme in a video, unfortunately, because while the themes are good, they are in the system, and they could get flagged, so just for the safety, I probably wouldn't use them. Which is weird, because my game streams never got hit. It's just videos that have the themes in them for whatever reason. Guess they're loud enough to get picked up when I do it that way, instead of in the game with sound effects. Now, sometimes with YouTube's system, when it comes to copyright, it's very weird on detection. Sometimes it gets things, sometimes it doesn't. That system's been just a mystery for years, so no one knows why that happens. There's also this thing, too, which I feel like this story doesn't really go anywhere. The whole float doesn't know really anything about herself, and she just fights to fight. It's like, that's a cool character development thing. But then next time we see her, we beat her up, and she's dead. So this whole float thing, I really do wish that we had a little more time here for her as well. The problem is more or less the game's length for all these story things. Like, this didn't happen for that long because the game is 2 hours. So a lot of it is just chalked up to the game being very short. A lot of these ideas are introduced and then immediately taken care of not long after. And it's because of its length. Also, this stage, dude, this stage, for whatever reason, is the worst running stage in the whole game. At least from how I experienced it last week. Because this stage has a lot of frame rate drop areas, this here being one of them. For whatever reason. Like, in this area, my frame rate goes from like 110 down to 75 at times. It's really weird. So, I don't know what's going on with that camera angle in the room that caused the frame rate dips. There's just a lot of busy stuff in this stage, if I had to guess. Like, a lot of effects are rendering off screen that are still causing problems. And I could probably turn down, like, draw distance to probably fix it. That's why I also want to know how the Xbox version runs. Like, I imagine on the series systems it's probably okay, but how about the original Xbox One? I imagine this game can't run all that well on the Xbox One. Probably be around 30 to 60 frames. It would be fluctuating, I would imagine. I mainly recommend people just get these games on PC, but you only get Spark 1 and 3 on PC, but just in general, you probably just get this game on the PC as well, because you can probably get it on sale more often on PC than you can on Xbox, and it has a lot of settings you can tweak. Don't know about the Xbox version on that. But yeah, this is made in Unity. This is the first game that this dev made in Unity itself. The second game is also based on that. They're both Unity games. I think the reason why this game has weird performance problems here and there is because of it being in Unity. It's the first time this dev has really made a game in this engine. Because from what I can understand, Unity can either be a really good thing for a dev or just problematic. It depends on their knowledge going into it. And maybe even the kind of game they're making. I do know at least that Unity games, they perform better on PCs for the most part, because I know, like, a great example of Unity being a bad engine is for Switch games, because if there's a Unity game on the Nintendo Switch, chances are it runs like garbage, because that system just doesn't play nice with Unity. Oh, I'm supposed to be running on that wall. This is the same thing I did in the first playthrough, but it just seems super easy to do this. Ukulele runs fine in Unity. Yeah, I think that's like one of the few exceptions of a Unity game I can think of on the Switch that doesn't have massive problems. Which is ironic, because when it came out for the PS4 and the Xbox One, it ran like crap. So, apparently it was still problematic there, but for the Switch version, it was fixed up, I guess, well enough. It didn't matter anymore. Like, it was tweaked for the Switch. It wasn't the exact same, like, port job as the PS4 and the Xbox One. So it ran fine. Because I played some of the Switch version of Ukulele, and outside of it looking blurrier, because Nintendo Switch, lower resolution and detail, it ran fine. And for being lower quality, it still looked good. Also helped that was 2017. So, like, at that age, people may have still been figuring out the Switch, but the games that came out around that time era, just for a Switch port, were pretty good. Because nowadays, you don't really hear that all that often with Switch ports. A lot of them, 9 times out of 10, are probably just worse running and looking as a whole. They're not very comparable. And some games can't even be ported at all. So devs just fall back on cloud versions. Dude, that attack is not telegraphed at all. Holy crap, I just noticed that. Like, it just comes out. Yep, see, it just came out. Just hold down the guard when you're attacking, because you never know. Hand time runs like crap on Switch. That's a prime example of a game that's on the Unity engine that shouldn't be on the Switch. Because originally, Gears of Reference was like, yeah, we can't port this to Switch because it just won't work. It won't run well, we've tried. And then a year later, they released the Switch port. So, their original, we can't get it to run comment, I think I can understand why they said that. Because when you play it on Switch, the game, it has massive loading problems, it's blurrier than any other version, as you would expect, but it also has a lot of skipping. Like, you'll just be playing the game, and it'll just randomly freeze up, and then like 2 seconds later, it'll play back out. And that eats your inputs, and the game is still playing in the background. So you can do a jump, the game freezes, then 2 seconds later, Hat Kid's in the air. Like, you don't see her get off the ground, it's just from here to here, immediately, because the game's engine's still running, so it's really bad to play. And I don't know if it's ever gotten patched. When I played it on my own, I was playing in a portable mode, just playing through the game, and oh man, it was bad. It was really bad. I was surprised of how bad it was. Because I expected it to just look worse and maybe have bad loading, but that was about it. I didn't expect the game itself to be a stuttery mess. The worst thing to me is a game that just doesn't play correctly, if it just freezes all the time and has frame rate problems to a point where it is distracting. If a game is in 30 frames per second and doesn't run at a constant 30, you start seeing it. But it's worse when it just flat out goes from 30 to 0. So this is where we get the rest of that plot about Float. I was like, here's the backstory. She was made as like this war robot. It's like, neat. So that plot point just immediately wrapped up. We just got introduced to this kind of thing 5 minutes ago, and now it's over. Again, that's more of a problem with the game's length. If this was like a 6 to 8 hour adventure, we wouldn't really have this problem, because this is a problem I can say for a lot of Sonic games that released over the past couple years too. Like, you can say this for, like, say, Sonic Lost World or Sonic Forces, where they introduce a concept, and then 5 minutes later it's dropped because the game is so short. They have to, like, go through these plot elements really fast. The worst case on that one is Sonic Forces, where Sonic was arrested, and then 10 minutes later, break him out of jail like nothing ever happened. So it's like, oh, well, that didn't go anywhere. But it's because, again, with that game length, it couldn't really go anywhere because the game was 4 hours. Yeah, Sonic Forces, I think, is one of the worst games in the Sonic series that has plot problems, because its pacing was just real rushed due to it being such a short game, and then things just feel like they weren't given a full amount of time in the writer's room. So it was just like, a lot of these things were introduced and then immediately dropped, or just didn't really go anywhere. Infinite is another great example too. That character just has no real development. Like, he's just introduced, he's not weak, and then as soon as you start getting to know him a little bit more, he runs off. So it didn't really feel as impactful to have Infinite as a villain. That's why we don't really see him again. Like, he's been a thing apparently in like other games, but they're more spin-offs that he's been featured in. So we haven't actually seen him in a mainline game after Forces. I don't know if we will. It'd be nice if they revisited him just because of how many opportunities they really do have a character like Infinite, but I'm not sure if Sega will. Especially now with them going down this new route with how Frontiers did. That game itself with structure, I think, is where they want to take Sonic going forward, because it just worked out real well this time. That's how the team's getting greenlit for like a bigger budget, and hopefully more development time too if they need it. So I can see the characters we have for the most part, maybe what we're focusing on with some newcomers, kind of like how we did it with Frontiers. I wonder when that next piece of DLC is supposed to come out for it. Because we have the first of the 3 waves of DLC. The second one's supposed to have Sonic's birthday, so I imagine it's gotta be sometime like later this month. Because Sonic Origins Plus releases in a week. And I imagine it has to be around that time, or maybe slightly after it, that we'll get the second wave. Because Sonic's birthday, that's the big focus of the DLC. Whatever that means, we gotta get it probably done. Oh, and then there's this. Okay, here we go. This plot point really bothers me, and I think it was just a setup for something else. And I don't know if it goes anywhere in 3. The Clarity plot point. This is some, like, AI that's talking to me, and this is, like, the only time we interact with Clarity. And by the end of the game, we're told all these other things about Clarity. And then the game ends. So it's like, wait, what was about this Clarity person? What's going on here? I don't understand. What is this? Like, the Clarity plot point feels like such a waste. It really does. Yeah, I also do agree with what you're saying too, Matt. Like, limiting the Sonic budgets was always kind of weird because Sonic is like a flagship series for Sega, but I think they mainly do that because it's not their major focus anymore. That's very ironic to say because that's like their bread and butter, and it has been for years, but nowadays they have a lot more going for them, especially now with Yakuza, because there's 2 Yakuza games coming out this year alone. Even though one is not the exact same genre, it's like, yeah, it's still like 2 games in the same franchise getting released. So, like, that seems like where their focus is anymore. It's mainly with that as their new flagship game. But Sonic has kind of, like, it's been put a little more on the wayside with some games here and there. It feels like one every 2 or 3 years now. whether it be a mainline or like a spin-off of some kind. Because keep in mind, we got Team Sonic Racing in, what was it, 2019? And then our next like actual release for the Hedgehog that wasn't just like a Sega Genesis collection or something. I think that was Sonic Origins. And if you don't want to count that, again, because, you know, collection, then it's Frontiers. So either way, it's still like a 3-year gap. That's insane. And it's just because Sonic now is not as needed for Sega to stay afloat, which is probably for the better, because, you know, give the series more time between games so they can get proper development. But the, you know, space out the budget is a whole other argument. We don't need to do that. I actually went backwards. That's interesting. I don't know how I went backwards. Sonic Colors Ultimate. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot. That was like 2021. I guess I forgot because that game did so horrible. It's like I was pretty much taking the rest of that year for damage control. So about 2 years. It's still a long time. But if I don't want to, let's just say don't count ports, don't count remakes. So let's go from Team Sonic Racing to Sonic Frontiers. It's brand new experiences. That's still 3 years. But 2 years between, yeah, the Team Sonic and Colors Ultimate. For whatever reason, my brain said 22 because of the Steam port. Because that took like over a year to come out. Actually, it was released in 23 now thinking about it. It was like real late. I don't know why. They must have had a long deal with Epic and then just took forever to like, get the code done for the Steam release. Okay, at this point, we're about halfway through the game. Because now we're at Technora City, so now we're starting to learn what's really going on in the story. That's such a weird line, too. EJ's just like the sassy character. He does not care about what's really going on. He's just doing his job. Man, that did a lot of damage, and I didn't have my Gargs overheated. Yeah, I'm seeing more of a use now for heavy attacks when you're fully charged up with damage. Wait until you're level 3, and then just unleash like a heavy attack. Because that will do a lot. Level 1 and 2 doesn't seem to really do much at all, so just wait until you're at damage times 3. Nice, we got a medal. Get the gold medal. Which is weird how there's 2 medals. It's gold and then platinum. Like, we're just going right for the big ticket ones. You would think like bronze, silver, and gold, like progressive system up, but we're just going from best to the best one. Oh, here comes the plot dump. This is when we start learning things about Fark, the Doctor, and our main villain, because at this point we don't know who the main villain is. EJ we kind of assumed it was, but he was just a lackey. Freon here is the main villain, which is like the same guy from the first game. I don't know how he's back. They don't really explain it, he's just here. Because we defeat this guy in Spark 1, but now he's just here again. So I feel like there was a little bit of information that is left out that probably shouldn't be. Maybe giving us like some kind of a reason of how this guy's back. He doesn't even explain it himself, he's just here. He talks about how Spark fought him in the last game. Tried to stop him and all that, but that's pretty much all we know about what happened there. Which is not much. And then this whole plot point, where he dumps this. You are my creation, you are my son. You are Unit 2. Like, oh, okay. Plot twist. Spark is indeed not just like a clone of Spark. He's a actual piece of Freon, the main villain from the first game. But he took on a form that's resembling more of a Jester. And I don't know what the reason was for that specifically. We learn later that Fark's body can transform into what it needs to be. So I guess that's more or less why we're this. Transformed into what it needed to be at the time. But then we also get told, oh yeah, by the way, the Doctor's dead. So now we have a revenge plot going, where we were trying to save him, now he's gone, so now we're just avenging his death. So that kind of just happens quietly off screen. It was just to get Fark here, which I do like that idea. It tricks the guy, and now that he's here, he learns his truth, and he's trying to be recruited by a bad guy, but Fark doesn't want anything to do with it. So now at this point, he's just going to defeat anyone that stands in his way. So I think like this is the best part of the story right here, is when they do this kind of like plot twist. And now give us like a new meaning on life. Now our meaning on life is death. Hey Amber, how you doing? Take my hammer. So flashy. By the way, this whole fight is pretty much epilepsy warning, if you haven't been able to tell by now. And it's either by me or by him. Mostly by this guy. Oh boy. Oh, I got defeated. Which I just said, okay, good enough, do it again. Like, there's not even a defeat animation or anything. You just redo the fight. That's really weird. Doing alright? That's good to hear. I mean, I'm doing alright myself. Thanks for asking. Gonna do this a couple times. I also forgot about this vocal theme. I was talking about how many vocals we had before. So this is like, I think 3 in total I can think of now off the top of my head. The main boss theme, this boss theme, like an old final boss, maybe more, but that's all I can think of for right now. I forgot he's not dead yet. Even though he has no health. And because of that, I lose. It's like, thanks. Like, for whatever reason, this guy has no health, but he stays around. Like, he has this super long pinch state. So there's no visual representation when the fight's over at first, which tricks you. This is also why I opted to do hard and not anything past that. Just for time's sake. Because easy mode, I think, is too easy. That's why I wanted to do something more than that. But hard, at least, it is giving more of a challenge. I will give it that. I just think very hard and above would just be way too much. And I can always change its difficulty, which is the nice thing. You're not locked in. Even if the game makes it look like too off for whatever reason. It's just some bad, like, HUD design in the options. There we go. See, it's a very long pinch stay. He's trying to take you down with him, but it just takes forever for that to come out. Still fast enough for both the gold and diamond rank, though, so drink to that. There's these characters, too, that also kind of question a little bit more about what their intentions are. Because these two just show up in the very beginning of the game, and then they're just kind of sidelined for a while. They just follow around Fark. They talk to us directly again after that whole float boss fight, and now here after confronting Freon for the first time. And then the next time we see him is the last time we see him too. So these characters, it's like, I feel like there could have been maybe a little more interactions because they feel like an ally that just didn't go anywhere. Because they do kind of help, but also don't. It's a weird situation. But again, that's just kind of the plot in this game. A lot of stuff just doesn't really get like its full potential because it's just so short. This is kind of why I think it's like the 2010 Sonic problem, as I'm going to coin it, where a lot of the games had this problem. Honestly, that didn't really get fixed until Frontiers, if I want to be honest. Because starting with Sonic Colors onwards, the stories were very simplistic of how short the games were. But there are a lot of plot points that just kind of come and go, kind of like this game. This feels so much like an F-Zero stage with its core design. The Frontier story, I think, is probably one of the best Sonic stories we've had in a long time. It's really good. But yeah, I feel like I agree with you, Matt, on that one. It was nice to see something different and dark, like how Adventure Stories were. It did feel a lot like Sonic Adventure Stories, which really did help on just its pacing, in my opinion, too. Because a lot of the plot points that were introduced, they were fully fleshed out, for the most part. I think the worst part about that game's story was probably the Egg Memo stuff, just because of how the Egg Memos, they were a side thing, and then near the end of the game, that's when Eggman's talked about his relationship with... excuse me, I'm blanking because I'm trying to run through stage. Like, his relationship does change with his AI daughter, which is like, oh, okay. And the only way you know that is because of listening to Egg Memos, but if you don't go out your way for those from the fishing game, you don't see that plot point coming. That's its only real, like, super big downside to me. Yeah, with Sage. Yeah, thanks. I'm just blanking right now because of all this. But yeah, like that thing comes on like left field. That is the one part of the story that is probably the weakest, but that's again because of a side thing. You gotta collect those Egg Memos, but the Egg Memos were structured in a very weird way that a lot of people might have missed them if they didn't do all the fishing stuff. There we go. That might be enough for a gold medal, actually. That felt pretty fast. As we're playing this, though, you really can feel that this guy was a big Sonic fan for years, because the menu system for this game, it feels a lot like Sonic. Like the victory results screen and the main menu, it feels like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So like you can see a lot of inspiration there. That's like a solid game, and I can understand paying some homage to it. One of my favorites. Although it's like, unlike Sonic Adventure 2, the characters in the background on this one, for the most part, you see for like 5-10 minutes, and then they're gone. The only real characters you mainly see in this game is like a handful. Spark being one of them. The final boss, you know, Freon being another. EJ. And then maybe some of the lackeys, but that one's debatable. Really, it just kind of depends on your point in the game. You mainly just see Spark. Or Fark, sorry. Keep on calling him Spark. I do wonder, though, like, what was the idea behind the devs had here, Felipe, of making the sequel game based off of the second character, Fark, instead of using Spark once again? Because that's a pretty different take for your next game's story to be based around not the main character from the first game. Already with the sequel, it's focusing on a different character. Although Fark and Spark are pretty similar, so saying this doesn't really like matter all that much, because they both have like the same abilities, so gameplay-wise, these two are interchangeable, I feel. Probably more or less because the guy wanted to flesh out this character's backstory a little bit more. And I can understand that, because it kind of does feel like Fark kind of appears in the first game. There's not much really about him we know. It works to have more backstory introduced here in the sequel. But then his backstory is just really confusing, so I don't know about that one, Chief. And I don't know if we're going to get any more backstory after this, because I don't know if Spark 3 touches on Fark anymore, or if that's it. Like, this game is pretty much the last we see of Fark for now. I have to say for now, because I don't know if there's a Spark 4 in the works. There could be, for all we know. I don't know what to do in this case, because I definitely had a problem there. I don't know if this is also a good idea or not. This feels like the bad idea. Oh, it actually worked. Never mind. All right, go back through the loop. I can't believe that worked. Here's our goal. We actually passed the secondary goal. There's a second goal here for whatever reason halfway through the stage. I didn't see it. I went past it. And you don't need it. Look at the time. I got a gold. You don't need the other gold to get the gold. Probably need it just for the platinum. Yeah, I don't even know how I saved myself either. That just kind of worked in my favor. There's good enough, so people shouldn't be used to say, see, people know what Sonic fans want. I don't know about that statement on this kind of thing, because I don't think I ever heard someone say this is what the Sonic fans want. Then they use Spark game as an example. I've heard that more about Freedom Planet more than Spark, but I get what you're saying on that. The games on their own are solid enough to be their own things, because this is Sonic mixed with Kirby elements, because you have power-ups that work more like copy abilities. So I see these as like their own entity in the same way I see Freedom Planet as its own entity from Sonic. Both Sonic fan game spin-offs became their own thing. So that's why it's like, yeah, originally these were both made from people. Jeez, that took a lot. These were both made from people that made Sonic fan games to start, or their IPs were more based around Sonic. But now they are their own separate entities, and they have their own identities. And that, to me, is like, yeah, I can't compare them. Not in the same way, at the least. Because what Sonic game controls like this, where he has like a guard button that's infinite, and you have like super over-the-top boss fight. Okay, it's just Frontiers, never mind. Like, oh, that shit right up. Frontiers. It's not the same, but It's like, it feels similar. To me, honestly, this feels more like a Metal Gear Rising or like a Bayonetta situation in some fashion. A lot of this combat is mainly focused on guarding to survive, because you'll take a lot of damage otherwise. So you're mainly focused on doing a lot of damage perfectly than anything else. Got platinum. Fast. Alright, now the space. I don't know how we get the space. We just go from tower to space. It happens. I think this is one of my favorite stage themes in the game. I just like this hard rock. I will say when I'm going through these loops, the one thing I will give a Sonic game over this is that the camera doesn't change at all. It just changes this the perspective a little bit, so it's not, you know, facing the wall only. It's moving with the character, pulling back ever so slightly. But the camera itself, I do feel like it's too close on those loops. So that's why I'm like wobbling all over the place, and sometimes it needs to fall off. I like how Sonic games handle loops a little bit more, where they're more automated. Because like this, for example, I'm wiggling the stick back and forth to stay around the center of it so I don't fall off the track here. So that is one thing I'll give Sonic. Making those kind of things more automated makes them a little bit easier to control through. This not being as automated, it's very easy to slide off the edge if you're just not careful, which I've already done a couple of times as we demonstrated last stage. Especially how narrow... Oh, crap. I don't know if I can save this. Yeah, there's like nothing here. Oh, maybe I can. Okay. I slipped off, and yet here we are. Platforming back up. That is just a PNG of a planet. It's not even 3D. That is just a picture. Did not notice that the first time, because I didn't fail that jump, and I didn't stare at the planet for long at all. I even got a score bonus from that? Wow, I didn't think I had enough. That's our first medal for a score. Is that the only one actually for that stage? I can't remember. There was one or two. Yeah, no, it was two. I was off by, I think, a few more. No, a lot more points for the diamond. Keep on thinking platinum for that, because that looks more platinum than diamond. But where are we at the I can't speak apparently. Having a minute. Yep, there it is. Mini stroke in voice. At the penultimate stage, and I'll say that because the song's playing. This is the same song that played at like the very end stretch of Spark 1. It was like one of the last stages that had this theme. So this is how you can tell you're pretty much at the end of the game if you hear this song. This is the exact same song from the first game. Like, from what I can understand, the songs that reprise their roles here, like the ones that just come back without any real remixes, I think it's like the main theme, this theme, that secret boss theme, which is just your standard boss theme now for this game. And then I think the final boss is actually a remix of the final boss theme from the first game that with vocals. Well, I was listening to the final boss theme of this and then the final boss theme of the first game. The core rhythm sounded pretty similar. I love how I get all my health back just to immediately lose it. It's my favorite pastime. Oh yeah, this room has heavy gravity. That's what's going on here. And this is the only time in the game they play around with the gravity mechanics here. At the last stage, we were just flipping around. I remember we say that's gravity. It's like a panel that just like changes your orientation. But then this stage, flat out, causes like gravity shifts. Like there's this effect where it just pushes you down so your jumps are gimped. And then there's another one, I think, later in the same stage that's like heavy gravity, which that effect is just to do damage to you. So if you're outside of a certain radius, you just take a crap ton of damage. You can easily die from the stage itself. Nice whiff. Nice. Getting bombarded by the crap. Pressing guard. Finally, one of the guards actually came out. And now random self-destruct, because we gotta get you out of here fast. There we go, we out of here. I don't know what would happen there. I guess the stage just starts blowing up, which is how you take damage. Wow, it's almost every single medal. All I missed was the one diamond one for high score. Oh, now it's time for this plot point. There are many things that happen here in this cutscene that feels like, alright, we gotta wrap up the story fast. Let's just do fast things. Well, for starters, EJ. This guy randomly comes back. I don't know how he got up here. Last we seen him, he was downtown. Quite literally. And then there's this. You killed the doctor. What? I just hit him somewhere in the mountains. Like, wait a minute. And this is where I think Fark's gears in the head should have started to spin. But he doesn't acknowledge that, wait, you're saying the doctor's alive? Like, there's no acknowledgement from him on this. He just hears it and then moves on. But then there's this part. It's like I was meant to be discarded. Oh, that's a lot of EJs. I guess I was meant to be discarded. He's one of many. So we get closure on that character at the very least. He's just a grunt. He was only really made, along with a bajillion more of him, just to carry out Freon's bidding, and now he has no more use for him. So he can just use one of the other ones if he wants. But Astra here also now changes things up, because she takes out EJ, and now she turns on us because I gotta stop you, because you're Freon's son, and you're gonna do something bad, so I gotta take you out. It's like, wait, what? Oh, okay, where'd this come from? It just kind of happens, because again, the plot, we gotta go, we got things to do, people to see, so it just speeds up at this point. So this plot just kind of all of a sudden, like, you know what? You're bad now, I'm gonna kill you. I feel like the cutscene she saw Freon's body, or like the clone body, whatever it was, she should have said right then and there, I feel like Fark is gonna betray us all, and we should probably do something about it, so let's follow him. Just a simple line like that, I feel like this scene wouldn't come out of left field. And then there's this too, this Clarity plot point. We're coming back to that because we were told in one of our last fights, don't trust Clarity. but we don't know what the heck this clarity plot point really does, because we hear about clarity here and there from some of the characters. We never hear from clarity directly again, and we never see where clarity is. Like, we don't know where the AI machine is even located. So, we hear about the character all the time at some points, but that's it. So, the clarity stuff is another prop point. I'm just like, I really do feel like there's a lot of missed potential here. But it's, again, this game is 2 hours, so that's kind of why. There we go. Done. I was getting a little close on that one because I took a lot of damage early on. I was a little afraid on that front. Taking too much damage early is a bad sign. It wasn't bad. I feel like she's easier in phase 2, ironically enough, because now you don't have 2 enemies you're fighting off. You only have the 1. So it's a little bit easier to follow. Which is ironic because you saw that one attack in phase 2, which pretty much takes up the whole arena. That's really hard to dodge. If we don't guard it, you're probably getting hit. Oh, and then also, yeah, we just killed Astra. And she's a robot, so that's the plot twist here. It's an agent of clarity. So, again, what is with this clarity person? We have multiple little threads here, but no actual stitching. Because Clarity, I guess, sent Astra to keep an eye on Fark and possibly stop him, because I guess Clarity would probably see Fark as a threat. But we just don't know where this goes. We really don't. It just doesn't go anywhere. And this is the last time we see both of these characters in the whole game. One's dead, but the other one is mourning over her. But he doesn't follow us. So one more stage and we're at the final boss. I'm not kidding. This game, I keep on saying it, but it's not a joke. This game is legitimately 2 hours with the story. It's very short, man. That's why I like the game, but I can't recommend it for full price at $20. I think it's a little too short for $20. It's $10 an hour, man. That's a steep price. I bought this on sale like about a year ago. I think it's a good game on sale. Like, I can't remember what I paid. I think it was like, oh boy, I think it was about $10, something like that. I think I got it half off. Keep an eye on summer sales. There should probably be one coming up soon enough on Steam, because it's the summer. Other platforms are starting to do it, because there's a summer sale thing going on right now. GOG and maybe Epic Games? I can't remember on Epic, though. That reminds me, I also got to check the free games today, because they did update, and I think there are some bigger name ones on there I was looking forward to. Last week was Payday 2. Like, oh, neat. I like Payday 2. But I think everyone I know has the game, and if you don't, the game is always like $1 to $5. It's always on sale, because the base game, they want to get out there cheap or even free, since the real money that the company makes from Payday is from all the DLC, because there's a lot of DLC. Nice and bright, my favorite. Ow. Ow. Oh, this part. I don't really like this part that much. Not this. There's a later one that's like that. I think it was this section, but it's up ahead. There's a part where you have to climb up a wall like that in this level, but it's so long, you lose a lot of your speed. If you lose too much of your speed, then you fall. And we had that happen a lot in that first stream we did last week. Yeah, it's sales season right now. Yeah, you're not wrong. Everything is gonna probably have a digital sale here right now. All the consoles, the PC marketplaces, they're probably all gonna have a lot of sales because it is sales season, always in the summertime. Oh my gosh, I'm taking all the damage here. Oops, didn't mean to fall. Hey, where am I? Why did it put me backwards? I should go this way, so why was it facing backwards? Oh my gosh, I almost died already. Okay, never mind. I do not know why it's putting me backwards every time. That is so weird. Oh, forgot how large that shot radius is, because that happened, I think, last time, too, we played this. Oh, come on. This is an extremely narrow platform, and it also has so many things that damage you. You just don't have much footway. So every time I try to dodge something, that's when I'm falling. Oh, wow, that's deceptively large fire. I thought I cleared it. Oh, it's this part. This is the part I was thinking of. This is like, if you hit any wall, then you fall down. And there's just, yep, there it is. There is just so many opportunities to hit a wall in this. It's not the greatest design, because now to get back up here, I need to find a sloped part. And now I can start climbing the wall again. Like, that is, like, very easy to fall off because of just how steep it is, or just how, like, narrow. And that's it. We're at the ending. All we got left is the final fight. Game's nice enough to just immediately take us into the final fight, too. Well, final set of fights. Because we gotta fight Freon, and then we told some stuff, and then we fight him again. And now we get more plot dump about why this guy even exists. And I guess by extension why we exist, because we're a piece of him. Freon was made to fight off an AI named Clarity, and he was made by the Doctor. So, he's supposed to be a good guy, even though he's really not, because we saw what happened in the first game. Not even close. But this guy also is trying to say Clarity is an AI that was tasked to keep the world safe, and by doing that, it will kill the innocent as well. So the AI is a little corrupt. And now we gotta stop it, or at least that's his objective. And this whole time, he's trying to recruit us for that said job, but he didn't tell us until now. So that's what he was trying to do, I guess, in the first game as well. He wants to destroy the whole planet, because that'll destroy the AI Clarity. Because it's so spread out, he can't just destroy one computer. It's everywhere. I'm a good guy, just covered in evil. Now I'll also put a stop to this Clarity person. Rolls credits, because that just doesn't happen in this game's plot. And from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like there's an extra story that has you fight that Clarity person as like a secret boss or anything. After we're done, I'm gonna look that up to confirm, but from what I can tell, this is pretty much it. What you got here is how the game is structured. No secret bosses or anything, no extra storylines. You just have this one story. Why does it sound like I'm at no health when I have half health? That's really weird. Like my health is refilling immediately or something. There you go, got him. That's it. Freon's defeated. Or at least this version of Freon's defeated, because that was phases 1 through 3. We got phase 4. It never ends. Okay, I'm looking at the information about this Clarity person. Looks like there's appearances listed here on the Spark Wiki for Spark the Electric Jester 2 and 3. So if that's the case, this is a plot point that's brought up for this game that is not concluded, and it is a thing that you do explore in the third game in some fashion. So based on that, I have to assume Fark is in that game. I don't know if he's fully playable or not. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he is. It's like an extra story. But it sounds like the Clarity thing is introduced here, and then later on, you will continue that plot point in a different game. So, like that, at least if I'm understanding this correctly from what I'm looking up, it does fix up some of the rushed plot ideas here, because they are continued. If there wasn't a Spark 3, I would think this whole Clarity plot point would fall flat on its face. Because it's introduced, it's talked about, but you never indirectly do anything about it. So it's just a thing that exists. And that's why if there was not a third game, this would be kind of bad. And now I'm also getting told, oh yeah, by the way, your body can just transform. Here, let me help you with that. I threw you. Now grow big. Yeah, it's that easy. So this is supposed to be reminiscent of like a supersonic style boss fight. Kind of like how the first game did too. There was an extra form Spark even got just to fight the final boss. Same idea here. But I actually do want to do this. Here, hang on. This will make it easier. I'm going to go to the challenge, so the hardest difficulty. Kill me. Alright, that's good enough. I can put back the hard. Here's what happens when you lose. This actually has a losing animation. He punches you in the face and he's just disappointed. It's the only fight that's a losing animation. Why? That's so random. I don't have double audio for the stream. Now you can hear how good this song is. This is a super energetic song. I really like this final boss theme. It's really good. can't remember who actually was the one that did this. I'm gonna look it up in between phases. There's no way I'm doing it now. There we go. Okay, that's phase 2. Now for phase 3, in our final phase. I'm looking it up to see. The name, Andy Tunstall. Or, excuse me, Andy... nice slang. Andy Tunstall. That's his name. That is the composer for this song. He does some really good vocal songs here for Spark, because he was also the guy that does the secret boss theme for the Fark playthrough in Spark the Electric Jester 1, which is what the boss theme is based off for this game. Or at least, like, the early bosses. Unfortunately, though, like a lot of music in Spark, it doesn't properly loop, so it just abruptly ends. And then just restarts itself. And that's it. Phase 3 done, and the fight is just over at this point, because it does feel like it does end a little abruptly, just because these do... Oh, wait, no, that's right. It's phase 4. It's like, what am I thinking? It feels like a little abruptly because you do all these things in quick times. No, wait, no, never mind. That's it. I forgot. I'm already forgetting, because this final boss section is weird, dude. All these cutscenes feel like a thing I should be interacting with, like maybe a QTE. But, no, this is it. There's only 3 phases. I'm just tricking myself. That's it. I win. See you later. And he just randomly runs out of camera. I don't know why he runs away like that. It's so weird, man. It's such a random way to end the fight. Just Naruto run off screen, why don't you? But that's it. That's Spark the Electric Jester 2. The whole game. Really wasn't that much harder on hard mode. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I did die a few more times. But it really wasn't that bad. The guard is the big thing that makes this game really easy for combat. So if you use guard a lot in the fights, these fights can be very, very easy. You just have to be mindful of its cooldown timer and just how easy it is to break. So spamming guard isn't like the only thing you can do. You gotta train yourself to use it correctly. But it is so busted. Needless to say, I don't think I want to play this game anything past hard. Very hard, maybe, but I don't think I would want to play this on challenge mode. That's just... I don't know, man. That's just too much to me. Because the damage output, you've seen that when I swap real quick just to die in the final boss to show that losing animation. You take too much damage. You're literally just dead in one shot at that point. Oh yeah, by the way, the doctor is alive. That comment EJ said, it was true. He left him in the forest somewhere. Like up in the mountains. And Flint did survive. He just left the fight with Fark and went to go get the doctor. And that's it. Like, the main plot point of the whole game is now just wrapped up, like, really fast because the guy was just up in the mountains. It's a little anticlimactic on that one, but again, I feel like this is a seed plant for the 3rd game because it didn't really matter when you think about it in the grand scheme of things that Doctor's dead. I am still here. Like, telling us that now as the player is really just setting up for a sequel, because if this game ended right here and now, it wouldn't have mattered. So I think, just honestly, kind of like the first game. You're not playing Spark for the plot, because the plot in Spark games, they're fine. I'm not gonna say they're bad plots. I just think structurally they have a lot of flaws. So I'm not playing these for story. I'm playing it for the game's core design, and I think it's fun as a platformer. Nice and fast paced. So if you like the speed run through levels, that's fun. You got a high score system for this one to work with if you want those medals. So you can play fast or score based. Boss fights are unique, or the boss fights, excuse me, are unique, but at the same time, it can be a little complex, especially when you get the guarding involved. So I think it's a solid game. Like, structurally, it's good. I just think on a technical level, these games always have weird problems. They really do. I am 2 for 2 streaming these Spark games, having really stupid issues happen. Like, really stupid issues. And I don't understand what's with this Spark curse. I would want it to be broken for 3. Just please, when we eventually get to that, because I will probably stream that as well. But not now. I'm going to wait for a while on that one. Honestly, that first playthrough, watching it back, I just kind of got a little bitter towards this game franchise right now, because like every time I've tried to stream one of your games, man, it's caused me a headache and a half, and I just don't know why I have that bad luck. I really don't, but hopefully it's not going to be a case of 3. I think the audio capturing I did originally is just something I can only really use on probably AAA game titles on PC. Maybe an indie title could have a problem, as I've noticed with this one. But the other games I can stream, which is a proper capture like this, like just desktop audio. I don't like doing that all that much nowadays, just because other sounds can come through. I try my best to not have that happen, but it can. So having audio capture right from the program is more preferred. But Spark 2, it's like, no, you're not doing that, buddy. Because if you try, I'm going to distort. And then we got the weird issue from last week. But now we unlock all these other modes: gallery, stats, tour mode. Here's our total playtime, which is ironic to see 4.5 hours, because that's not my actual playtime. That's just total in the game. This one was 1.5 hours. It was actually kind of funny, is that we could have actually played through the game with tour mode instead, because these are other ways we can play. Stage Journey, Jester Journey, Electric Jester, Gladiator. These are other ways you play the game. But the reason why I wanted to do a brand new file and play like a higher difficulty instead was that these specific modes, you're just playing through the stages back to back, or like the boss fights back to back, or just all the above. You're not running into the story from what I can understand here. So I wanted to play through the story again. Again, I wanted to give this game a proper showcase. If I'm going to talk smack about something, I want to have a reason. But no, besides the joke answer, I want to give this game a proper showing, as if you are interested in this yourself, you want to see and hear it correctly. Hearing jumbled audio is not a great way for me to say, this is an amazing soundtrack, because all you hear is boombox effect. It's wrong. And honestly, I can't watch that first stream. If you want to watch that Spark the Electric Jester 2 first stream, see, I can't talk straight. If you want to watch the Spark the Electric Jester 2 first playthrough stream, it is on the VOD channel, so you can check it out if you really want to. I am personally not happy with how it turned out, but I kept it there for archival purposes. So if you wanted to see my first reactions of the game, there is a video for it. It's going to have audio problems, but it's still watchable in some fashion. But if you just want to see that core gameplay, watch this one instead, please. This, I think, was a better showcase of the game. I think this is a fun enough game. Wait for sale, in my opinion, because this game is fun and all, but it's too short for $20. It really is. And I'm going to look it up right now just to see. This is on sale. If you buy an Xbox right now, it's not. According to Steam, though, it is... Okay, this makes no sense. The game on Steam is $12.99. It's $20 on Xbox, $13 on PC. Just buy this game on the computer. Just buy it on PC. It's just cheaper. And it go on sale, so it could be even cheaper than that. Don't buy this on console. I'm surprised it's on console, but it's probably not the way to go in my opinion. But yeah, that's gonna do it for Spark 2. Much better showcase. Now to quit the game, and we're not gonna look back. Unless we want to do a future playthrough. And maybe I'll do a tour run playthrough at some point in the future. But we're not fully done with Spark just yet. We're actually having something else here. So, I want to showcase this specific thing. If I go down to trivia here, I want to mention this right here. Where is it? There's a thing here. Give me a minute. I gotta read all this again. A menu. Here it is. This line right here. Original script contained a lot more swearing and cursing, which was all reverted at the backlash following a trailer showcasing said vulgarity. This was a thing that happened in April 2018. And there just so happened to be a demo for the said game at the time. So we're going to play a demo. And I want to show something with the said demo because this thing is interesting to say the least. So I'm going to like blow that up. Here's the settings window for the Spark Jester demo. It's called Spark the Electric Jester at this time, mind you. But let's select our graphics. So we have high, good, okay, bad, really bad, garbage, should work. Misspelled should. Kind of forgot a letter. Selecting high. That's a nice big window. Get that out of here. Give it a second here. I gotta wait for OBS to recatch the game. There we go. So this is Spark the Electric Jester. This was the April 2018 demo. I'm gonna play through this just to showcase how different this game was at this time. In this demo, we have Stage 1, Stage 2, the first boss, and Stage 3 available to play. For the most part, it does look the same. So if we jump straight on in, we do have the story in the said demo. I'm not going to read through the whole story because I'm going to only really point out very specific things. Because for the most part, I believe this writing is pretty much the same as the final product. There is a specific interaction that happens pretty much at the end of the demo, though, I do want to point out, because that interaction is what got changed. But I do want to play through the demo real quick. It's only going to probably be like 20 minutes. It's not a long demo, but there are some differences with this version compared to the final product. And I figured, we're going to revisit this game so soon, we might as well have a reason to come back. And here's another. The original demo. At this time, the graphics seem to be pretty much set in stone, though, because lighting, character design, like all of it pretty much, to me, looks the same as the final product. So, I can tell at this point, things were already, like, design-wise, I wouldn't say pretty much done, but at least, like, the foundation looks like to be done. I will say, anytime I am playing this game, I can hear my computer really ramp up, though, because I'm playing at a high frame rate, so my graphics card is really getting used. That's a good sign at the very least. I'm hearing my graphics card ramp up in its fan speeds, meaning it's getting warm. When I was playing Spark 2 for the first time last week, before my settings got tweaked again, because the game doesn't save your settings per, like, the whole game, it just settings per file, for whatever reason. So I was playing with lower settings, my graphics card was not getting fully utilized. You want to hear it fully utilized, because otherwise there are problems. So I can go into here, right, to options. Notice how we have pretty much no options for difficulty. Nothing at all of the sorts. So this is the game in early stages. Notice how when I'm holding down the left trigger, we got different options here. For one, the two we actually have in the main game are just text file. Sure. But now we have electric laser and, or actually it's electro laser and electro blast. It's really hard to read because it's extremely low font. They have this move, which is like a screen nuke. The other one I can't do because my meter's drained. That's another big difference. The damage meter is not damage specific. It was like a whole other property at this time. So if I fill this up all the way, we'll do the Y attack next. It does feel like, to me, like the speed's a little tweak, and for whatever reason, look at when I jump. Fark is not going in the right direction. There's also no edgy power here like there was in the main game. Yeah, for whatever reason, Fark is jumping towards like this section of the stage, which is really odd. I don't know why he's facing the other direction like that at this time. It's like he's trying to, I guess, face towards the goal ring, because maybe that's where the goal ring is. But it looks so awkward every time you jump and he faces the camera. It just looks weird to me. I'm definitely getting comboed out of nowhere. Alright, let's try that other move. So, Electro Laser. Yikes, man. Why is that not the final product? That's like a Kamehameha from Dragon Ball. That's like a good attack just to shoot out forward. Probably not as good as Screen Nuking Blast, though. That seems to be really powerful. But, yeah, these moves are not in the final game for whatever reason. I don't know why they were scrapped. Like, some of it is still in the final game, like remnants of them. I think more or less because of like how the charge attack works. For the heavy, that's where these moves kind of come back. Mainly the blast. I don't know about that laser, though. But that's where they got, like, repurposed. So we go down here. There's no art. It's just a hammer. But we can still, like, swap through things like we can in, like, the actual game. And over here is another power. I think that's also the case with the main game, too. But the sword, I think, looks different in this, like, at least cosmetically. I could just be a placebo because I never used the sword. I prefer edgy over sword. And if I'm going to use a longer range, like a attack weapon style power, I use hammer. So for me, I just never use sword. Background's also different. It has that SA2 style theming, but no characters yet. He should have just called it Spark the Electric Jester since Spark isn't in the second game at all. I think he mainly just called it Spark 2 just for the namesake alone. So I'm thinking that was more because of sales. He called it the same thing instead. I feel like I said the same thing 3 times. I can't get my thoughts together for whatever reason tonight. I'm thinking a mentality in my own head. I can understand it. He named it Spark 2 because I think if he named it Spark the Electric Jester, people wouldn't understand it's in the same series. So for marketing's sake, I think it would have caused confusion. So he called it Spark 2 instead. Because that's also why he has the third game, Spark the Electric Jester 3, when originally Spark wasn't even going to be in that one either. Like, Spark sounded like he was going to be a one-and-done character almost because of how it was just like, this game is going to start Spark, and then the third game is going to spark some like new character that just didn't come to be. Because I guess, like, at least from what I read, the design of the character just didn't really work out. He didn't care for how the character was looking, so he just went back to Spark. It does feel like this drop move is way faster here in this demo than it was in the final product. Like, I am dropping almost instantaneously when I do that now. Also, I feel like I move a little bit slower in this one, just as a whole. Yeah, I'm definitely moving slower. He doesn't have the same momentum as he does in the final product. No medals yet this time, so your time and your score is just for bragging rights at this point. And that's not even tracked, I think, because when I hit these stages, I'm just going straight in, as you just see with this one. So I don't even see what my totals are. So if I go quit the menu, because the stage select is the menu. Now I can go straight to the boss fight. There is a cutscene here, though, so we'll get more story. What? Okay, that's a different line. I want to know my little namey. You sound like a kitty robot. Yeah, I don't think that was a line in, like, the final product. It was slightly changed. Even more sassy in this version, EJ. Oh my god! Wow! Yeah, okay, I can see why this was toned down. Keep in mind, this is on a console. If this got hit by an ESRB rating, the game would immediately hit an M rank. Just because of this language, dude. Holy crap, man. That's trying too hard. I am glad that was changed. Wow. Oh yeah, these attacks, these are the charge attacks from the main game. It's just, they function differently here. Also wall jumping off this guy, which is what's making this hard to fight too. I don't remember doing that in the final product. His hitbox coding might have changed ever so slightly between this and the final product, but that's true. Also, this is a different theme than what we were fighting this guy in the main game. So this is when they're just introducing the newer boss themes now. Because this was the special boss theme from Spark 1 that's just used in this fight. It does feel like the guard is not easily abusable like it is in the final product. It seems like it goes away way faster. Oh, that actually killed me. He was on like the final hit too. Again, the guard in this works so differently. You pretty much lose it almost instantly. So in this version, you couldn't expand it nearly as much. Oh yeah, there's the hammer twirl we did in the final product, except the animation's a little different. This is better. Why did he change it to like a bigger like screen nuke style animation? Because it just flashes the screen more. It hurts your eyes more than this one. Ironically, sliding off this guy's side saved me. Well, last time, it hurt me. Yeah, you don't really do this in the final product, so his hitbox was changed a little bit. He's acting like a wall when you get close to him, which is why I'm sliding. It's so weird. I'm not trying to platform off of you. I'm trying to kill you. Okay, that was weird. I killed him up there in the sky, but then he comes down here. Sure. Nice lag, by the way. Oh, it feels like my game is dying inside. Oh, we only got one more stage left, but also we have a cutscene before it. I wonder if this one has some egregious swearing too, because dark and edgy. Like I don't like that personally. I really don't. Like people may wonder why, and like for my streams and videos, why I don't really swear much, if at all, depending on the context. It's because it just doesn't sound good, honestly. Like, when I was growing up in, like, my teenage years, I was surrounded by people that did it all the time, so it was a thing where you just kind of did it because other people were doing it, and you just picked up, like, bad habits by doing it that way. It makes you sound less educated, more angry than you should be, and just in general, it's just not bad. Oh, not bad. It's not bad to swear, kids. Says the swearing people. It's a bad thing to do it all the time. It makes you just sound worse than you really are, personality-wise. So, to me, swearing is a good thing to only use in moderation to really express your emotion. If you're doing it every other word, then it really falls apart. But also, swearing in general, I just don't really like doing the videos and streams because it's just keeping things family-friendly. You don't want to really have the swearing thing in content that could be watched by all ages. Kind of like having kids being able to watch my stuff. That's kind of a good thing. So, throwing around F-bombs every 2 minutes is not a good idea. Turns off your audience hardcore. Alright, but we got one more stage. Whoa, God! I don't know what that stage was called, but I'm gonna call it epilepsy warning. Also, wow, that like left and right control was almost instantly on this platform. I have no idea why. As soon as I go left, I almost hit the wall. And I'm very slow. I get the dash pad and I go fast, but after a while, that's be gone. Yeah, I agree. The swearing did not need to be in this. It's just way too much. I'm fine with some, like, minor swears that like the main game has. But it's more like slang swear, if that makes sense at that point. It's something more tame. So it's not only better at that point for like more ages, but also at the same time, it doesn't make you sound like you're trying too hard. Oh, what's this awkward run angle? Even this, are you serious? Edgy also faces towards the other side of the screen for whatever reason? That's weird. Yeah, he's just facing left or right. He's not going straight. Oh, what's with that camera? Okay. I didn't make the jump for whatever reason on that. I can't really see the platform all that well with that camera. Wait, did I skip ahead? No, okay, I'm back here. I was like, did I skip ahead? It looked like I did for a second. Oh, even these ones are going the opposite directions now for whatever reason. That's cursed. My gosh, this momentum though, wow. I thought the momentum was a little too slippery in the final product, but other than that, the game's controls felt fine. This one, on the other hand, it's like, you don't really have that much speed unless you hit a dash pad. But if you're trying to turn, you hard turn. Like, I barely hold down the stick, and he just goes straight to the left of the wall there, or the right, depending on which direction you hold. And that's instantaneous, dude. Why? Oh, boy. And now I can't do anything because I got hit in the air. It's like a bad stun lock. You don't get stunned like that in the final product as easily. And I'm way back here. There was no checkpoint on all that. Are you kidding? This was a year before it came out, mind you, so things at this point are going to be rough, and that's expected. So I'm not really complaining about like how the game feels, like mechanically wise. I am definitely seeing how much they did improve it. So my complaints with like the final product, it's like, yeah, it was worse. It was worse than the original stages. So at least it didn't release like this. Oh, that's what happened. Oh, those checkpoint radiuses must have been increased for the final product then, because I know I did something similar like that in the final product, but I would hit the checkpoint if it wasn't like on the screen like that. But here, it wasn't on screen, it went past it, didn't count. So I think maybe the checkpoint radius was tweaked too. This loop feels a little different. I don't know if it was like, I don't think it was like this in the final product, like this wide or like this. Yeah, no, it wasn't like this. It wasn't this like twisty and turny. So this stage design is ever so slightly different. I think it's like the first case we really ran into that has different stage design. It's a lot more open though. This is a wide path. But here's the speed problem I was talking about. I got like no speed right now. Checkpoint. Does that count? Alright, that should count it. Okay, I guess I'm up here now. You can't get through the wall though unless you defeat the guy, but you can climb up if you really wanted. Let's try one of these other attacks. Let's do kunai throw. I am not even aiming. What is happening with that aim? I can't. Hey, there you go. Now I'm going. Why am I going backwards? That is really weird. It's like my aim just doesn't work correctly. It's because of this weird like camera twist thing that this guy does. He's trying to face the camera in a different direction. And I don't know why Fark does that in this version. It feels like that definitely was like early stages where for whatever reason Fark wanted to like face something else. I know the goal's over here. So my idea was he faces the goal ring when he does that, but he's not facing the goal. Hey, that's really weird. I don't think I've ever played a game where the character just goes a different direction just because he feels like it. But he still goes that way you control him. It's really random. But this is it. That's it. That's the end of the demo. So now we just have the story stuff. Which, again, we're going to have some changed lines here because at this time, things were a little spicy. Also, capitalization. To be honest, honest shouldn't be capitalized, so there's some more typos in this than the final product, too. Also some, racial claims. That's not what I expected. At this time, you can tell this is more like rough draft writing. And I got better. Because at this time, we just love saying the F word. So edgy. Why? I'm gonna assume this is how this guy actually talks in real life. Because if I'm hearing all this cursing in the writing of this, I can tell this is probably how the person is realistically. Like, this is how he'll talk to people in his circle of friends. Which I don't have any problems with people doing that. Like, don't get me wrong on that front. I shouldn't be the guy going around saying, stop swearing. It's bad for you. I'm going to put this bar of soap in your mouth. Like something like angry grandmother or something. I think it like makes you look less educated if you do that like every other word. If you use it for emotion, like to really get across how you feel, like how he's doing it here. What the hell are you talking about? Because he's angry and also just really confused. Like, I think that works just fine. But if he does that every other sentence, then it's like, okay, now you just look stupid. And that's what you get. And that's it. At this time, he was taking support on Patreon probably to help fund the game, I imagine. But that's it. It takes you right back to the stage select and quit. So that's the demo itself. And honestly, mechanically, it was already there. There was just the momentum stuff that needed to be changed along with some of the controls because this was a little too loose. Like you barely hold the direction and you just go that opposite way in this one. And obviously the writing was really cringe. Tried way too hard with the swearing. So yeah, a lot of stuff changed, but I wanted to show this demo because we're revisiting the game. Perfect time to do so. It really just shows what the game was originally about a year before it came out. So I was like, I think this is a solid enough game. Again, pick it up on PC if you can because it's $13 on a base price. Will go on sale during like a Steam sale, so you can get it for even cheaper. The Xbox version, I'm gonna say probably best to avoid that one. I can't imagine it would run that great there because it doesn't run that great on PC to begin with, but it's more expensive just because it's on a console. So if anything, I just say get it on PC if you're gonna get the game. But I recommend play the first one first. I think Spark 1 is the better game. So far, my opinion, has more content to it, but it's more of a game I enjoyed, if that makes sense. It's a gameplay style I liked a lot more than the 3D style. Not that it's bad, I just think the game controlled a lot better. But also, I think that the first game had more like routes and differences and stages. Like it felt more impactful to go this way or that way in Spark 1 because it had so many more alternate routes and had so many more powers for you to get. Spark 2 feels like that good proof of concept, and I'm looking forward to see how Spark 3 takes it, but I'll say at least from what I played, I enjoyed it, but I would recommend the first game before the second. And if you like what you played of the first and you want a 3D version of that, then I would say check out the second game. It's a weird recommendation front just because of it being so drastically different. It's one of those kind of games, but that's going to do it for Spark 2. We'll revisit this in the future with Spark 3. Hopefully with no technical issues then. No promises.